Welcome into Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy. And coach, it's been a great week. As last week we talked about going to the state tournament. Now you've come back and got that first win. Let's start there. First win since 2019 in Murfreesboro.
Right.
What was it like to kind of get that monkey off your back? To get that first win.
It was tremendous.
Yeah.
It was tremendous not only for the players that had went in 23, but it was tremendous for our team.
Sure.
Because, it seems to be a real hard task to go to the state tournament and win that first game, irregardless.
Sure.
And for the fact that we were able to go get it, win the game convincingly, and then, of course, get that monkey off your back of being able to move on to the semifinal game.
North Green's a team that likes to shoot those threes, and when they're on, it's hard. But you did a great job defending them. And after that game, you made the statement, the guys played the game plan to a T. So let's talk about that game plan. What did you tell them going into that game?
Well, we made some special assignments on some special people. The point guard, and I believe it was number 10, of guarding them in a different way. Mm-hmm. And we made those special assignments. And plus, the key was not to allow them to shoot a 3-point shot open, making sure that when we get across the screens, get through them, making sure that we contest every 3-point shot, and we were able to do that.
And we mentioned it in the post-game interview there in the press conference, how that players played longer in that game than maybe what we've seen in previous games. And you talked about the flow of the game dictates that.
Well, usually you when a substitute come in, maybe the starter or the person ahead is not playing well, but those particular guys were clicking. Mm-hmm. We were trying to keep that rhythm. We were kind of trying to keep that together, and we were able to do that, and consequently they had to play a little longer.
Is it in the back of your mind too, like you're at the state tournament and anybody can come back?
Oh yeah, no question. No question. And that's the case. Mm-hmm. That's the case so many times that we do it. Mm-hmm. So that's the case.
So you ended up winning pretty convincingly, 19 points over North Green. Great win. You said at the post-game press conference, we'll celebrate tonight, back to work tomorrow. What did you do to celebrate that night?
Oh, we kind of hung out a little bit.
Okay.
Hung out a little bit. We just hung out a little bit and let the kids be loose and so forth. And back in the hotel, and we gave them about 15 minutes difference in curfew.
Sure.
But the kids' attitude was great.
Yeah.
They knew it was time to celebrate, but then they also knew there was business. We had business to take care of the next day.
They represented Humboldt well, and let's move to that second game. Mm-hmm. Things got kind of chippy, and it was a lot of talking going on. I thought your kids handled themselves very well, especially when it's kind of one of those things when a player steps over another player.
Right.
You're talking possible injury, you're talking disrespect, but they stood up for themselves and they did what they had to do, but they didn't go too far.
Right. Well, that is always going to be the case because nobody like that is just going to stop and look and just watch. I applaud my team for stepping up. And making sure that, their teammate was safe. Mm-hmm. And those things happen during heated competition like that. Well, that was a heated game.
Yeah.
That was a very highly contested, very heated game.
I don't think Chattanooga Prep expected that game to go the way it did.
No, I think their general attitude was maybe it's going to be an easy one too. Mm-hmm. No, I don't think that they expected us to contest them the way we did.
I saw a good post from someone, and I don't know if he was on their coaching staff or what, but it was a good post. He actually posted a picture with a couple of your guys in the hallway and talking about the respect that they had for your guys and the team. Right. And I think you were even asked about, the other coach and his words toward you and this team. It just says a lot about the program, people outside looking in.
Well, it does. Their coach actually, when we came out of the press, before we went into the press conference, he said, "Can I say something to you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Man, my hat's off to you and your team." He said, "We've not been contested like that in 3 years. Nobody has played us that close and made us have to work the way you do." He said, "I love your kids. I love the way they competed. Love the way they handled themselves and love the way they stayed in control during the games." I told him thank you and appreciate the compliment.
Let's reiterate something that you've been saying all year long. Your preseason is tough to prepare you for that game. And then this is a team that they're saying next year is going to be a 2A school.
Right.
So I feel like the only way you hang with that team is because you had prepped them early in the season.
Oh, no question about it. No question about it. And But the other thing too is that, I was told during there, a lot of people came up to congratulate us on how we played. But see, I didn't realize that they recruited players from all over the country.
That's right.
One guy, a gentleman, and his wife was in our hotel, and I was eating breakfast. He came over to say, "Hey, man, I had something." You said, because we just come to the state tournament every year just to watch the tournament. He said, "Your team played about as good as any team I've seen here under the circumstances and the competition as we've seen the last 10 years." And basically, it was, like I said again, it was a very highly competitive, tough physical game. And I'm proud of our kids because, again, they followed the game plan.
Yeah.
They followed exactly what we asked them to do, what we had talked about, what we had walked through in practice. And, with the exception of missing a few free throws and missing a few layups, we can win the game.
Yeah, and how do you balance that? Because obviously, I worded my question in that post-game press conference wrong, and I was glad you kind of jumped real quick in there. I didn't necessarily mean that the whole season was a disappointment, but how do you balance that disappointment with the players? Because obviously, they want to win that game.
Oh, yeah.
And they walk into the locker room disappointed that they didn't get that win.
Right.
How do you balance that with pointing out, hey, guys, you played a good game. If you would have done this, you would have probably won, or do you wait to have that conversation?
Well, no, unfortunately, when you get to that level, I watched basketball yesterday. I watched UConn in Florida.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And I watched the different teams that lose, and that's just a reality.
Yeah.
When you get to that point, you got to be thankful that you made it there and in order to be able to compete.
Yes, sir.
You can't get caught up in the results.
Yeah.
And like I said, I watched it yesterday, and I know what they felt because I felt the same thing. Yes, we wanted to win the game, but we did a good job. We played our best, and and I'm satisfied. As I said, I'm satisfied. I'm happy. I'm proud of these kids. Proud of the work put in. And it's really funny too because already this morning, we have kids who talk about they're gonna make the team. They're gonna come and play basketball. They're gonna do this. It's easy to say.
That's right.
But the thing that I know about our boys basketball program at Humboldt, you just can't say, I'm going to play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have mental, physical discipline to play basketball here. We know that, okay? The kids know that. And those kids that are willing to put in that work get the kind of results that we get. You can just say, oh, I'm going to play basketball and expect it to happen. But again, on that level, when you're playing at that level, somebody has to lose, and all you do is pray to God that your team can compete and have a chance to win that game.
You talk about that, and just because you were good in junior high doesn't mean that's going to translate over to high school, especially even in your program. If they're good on your junior high team here, it doesn't necessarily mean I passed a conversation happening in the hallway. One of your coaches talking to a player. You got to put in the work in the off season. You can't wait till basketball.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, there are some good players on the junior high team that won't make the varsity basketball team.
Yeah,
that is a reality.
Yeah.
Okay, because and I was talking to a couple of kids this morning, like, when I'm gonna come and play basketball, and the first thing I said, you just say that so easily, but with our kids and our program, they put in the work, weightlifting, conditioning, shooting. Right. They come at 6 o'clock in the morning. They come on Friday. They come on Saturday. They come on Sunday. It's easy to say I'm gonna play basketball at Humboldt, but that's not an easy task.
Sure.
And I know that, and I think the players that play and are in the program know that.
And you got some experience for some players that will come back to the tournament again, hopefully soon. You were very quick to answer that question in the press conference as well. Do you plan to go back to the tournament? And you said, oh, I do.
Yes, we do. And again, we've had a pattern of having important young players who have been to Murfreesboro, who know what it's like and have that thirst to return. We had it from 2017 with RJ, Ant, and Trey and Trent. And we had it, in 19. And then, of course, we had it in 23, those 7 seniors being and wanting to go back. And now we have the kids that are able to play. We probably got, 5 kids that will return that played in this game. Yeah. That will return for next year and know what it's like.
That's awesome.
And hunger and thirst to return.
Yeah. And, they were in some very, very good games. We've got 3 players that are going to sit down with us. Let's go ahead and segue into that next. That's a perfect segue there. You did a great job, Coach, getting us there. So you have 2 of these players that won't be back next year, Kendrick Taylor, Jeffrey Patterson.
Right.
Both kids. I don't know that you can necessarily say you can replace that. They brought great things to the court. What do you think is going to be the biggest shoes to fill that when they walk off the court that you got to find somebody to do those roles?
Well, honestly, we cannot fill those shoes.
Yeah.
We have to have a new energy, a new mindset that comes in and wants to contribute to what we have, because to duplicate that won't happen.
Yeah.
Both Kendrick and JJ, 4-year players. They went to state as junior high. They went to state as sophomores. They went to state as seniors. We cannot replace that. But what we want is the new players to bring the energy and the emotion that they have and contribute to what we already have. And then, like I said, the nice thing is we got some kids returning.
Yeah.
And Darian Taylor and Ty Abuka, we call him Buka.
Yeah.
In Thailand and them returning, they know what it's like. They know what it takes. And thank God we got them returning to continue to thirst.
And as you already mentioned, Darian Taylor's going to sit down with us in a minute as well. He's probably going to be taking on more of a leadership role with the exit of 7 seniors off of his team.
Right.
He's been to the tournament, was very successful. One of your leading scorers in both games.
Right. I do think he made the All-State tournament.
Yes, he did.
Well, yes.
Yeah. So we'll sit back down with Coach Ab after we talk to those players. There may be some things that come out of those interviews that we can kind of translate over to kind of a final season talk. And it's been a great season.
Yes,
and
sir.
I appreciate your access to these players and your team and your coaches. It really helps keep people plugged in and just kind of lets them see it's more than just basketball on the court.
Oh, it is a tremendous season, both academically and athletically.
Coming up next, we're going to sit down with Kendrick Taylor, Jeffrey Patterson, and Darian Taylor right here on Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy. Here alongside Kendrick Taylor, senior on this Humboldt Viking team that just got back from state. And Kendrick, it was a lot of fun. And you know what it's like to go and lose that first game. What went through your mind when you finally got over that hurdle and got that first win on Wednesday morning?
Wednesday morning, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a feeling of relief to make it past that first round.
Yeah.
And not to just get killed like we did sophomore year.
Sure.
But yeah, to win by actually 19, to win by that much of a margin, it just let us know like, yeah, we here for a reason. We earned it to come here.
Did that help your confidence level in game 2?
Oh yes, sir.
Yeah.
We went into game 2 with a lot of confidence that we could beat them by 20.
Yeah. It was a great game. Let's talk about both games real quick. Your 3-point shooting kind of came into play a little bit, but it never really fell like it did maybe even in sub-state or leading up to that. How do you shake that? Like if you're shooting threes and it's not going in, what's your mindset? Like, do I keep hitting those? Do I go inside? What's your mindset as a player?
It kind of depends, but definitely keep shooting them. If you're open, just keep shooting them. But if you just can't go in, you got to change your mindset or just try to contribute to the team in another way, like drive to the paint or go get some rebounds. Like try to do something else to get in rhythm.
Sure. A little bit of a different experience because, when you win a game here, it's like, go to the locker room, go home. There, you're sitting in front of the media. What was that experience like for you? You got to go, I think, to both press conferences.
Yeah, it was nice. It was kind of felt like you was in college or NBA or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah, it was nice to display that you can actually talk in front of people and you're not like scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a desire to play at the next level? Or
I do.
Okay.
I do want to play college basketball, yes, sir.
Yeah, and I know you're wanting to go to college. Why don't you tell people like what you're going to college for? Because you've got your future kind of insights here. You're about to graduate.
Yes, sir. I want to go to Austin P and major in biology to be an oral surgeon.
Yeah. Not too far from home.
Right.
You can still come back every once in a while. And, that's one of the things that I've enjoyed about covering this team is watching those players get to come back. I remember when Anthony Jones, the next year he was able to come back quite a bit. He doesn't get to come back as much anymore. And RJ and Trey Ward and some of those guys. And then I think it was at the sub-state game, maybe DeSante Bradford got to come. Stephon Shivers, a player that you've played with. Now he's in college. What does it mean for those guys to get to come back to the program and speak before games or talk to you after games?
It means a lot because you either watch them do it or you've been through it with them.
Yeah.
So they know more or they know at least as much as you know. So,
Yeah.
it's like right there with you. You can get feedback right then and there.
Yeah. You had some ups and downs this year. There was games where, felt like you were locked in, it was clicking, and other games, how do you weather through that? Is it just you trust that you've put in the work and that eventually it's going to change, or how does that work?
You definitely trust in the work that you put in, and you got to keep it like a short memory. Like if I had a bad game, especially when we had like a back-to-back, if I had a bad game the night before, I'm thinking about I got to make up for this bad game I had.
Yeah.
When you make up for it, you come back even stronger.
That's incredible. Well, man, good luck on your future endeavors. I know you're getting ready to graduate in a little over a month, and life changes. But look forward to seeing you come back and continue to be one of those former players that speaks to the program. Great days are ahead, man, and I appreciate the way that you have went about your work, and you've done it with class. I think you're junior Rotarian.
Yes, sir.
And so I saw where Mr. Danny Wade had posted something to you as he's watched you grow up. You played in City League first.
Yes, sir.
Then you played junior high ball, and you played high school ball here in Humboldt. So how many years total do you think you've played basketball? It's been a long time.
Yeah. Actually, I started when I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I go a league in Jackson because Humboldt didn't start there early.
Oh, okay.
Like a little all-star league with a church in Jackson. So yeah, since I was little, I say about probably like 12, 13.
Majority of your life, yeah. Well, man, good luck, and look forward to seeing you hopefully signed to go play somewhere, and even better than that, getting that education and watching you succeed in life. Thanks for sitting down with us. I'm sitting down with JJ Patterson, and my first remembering you is on the football field in junior high, but you've been involved in athletics in Humboldt for a long time. You played City League as well?
Yes, sir.
All right. So basketball kind of has become probably a big part of your life. Let's talk about that. How did you develop interest in basketball? Where did that start? Do you remember?
When I was young, like when I would say about 5 years old.
Yeah. Did you have a mentor that kind of said, hey, you're good at this, hone your craft, or just kind of something that just developed inside you and you just went after it?
My uncle.
Your uncle. Okay. Fantastic. Had a very successful junior high career and now high school. You also went to the state tournament, and you know what it's like to go home after that first game. Kind of leaves a bitter taste in your mouth. How do you stay focused on the task at hand, but also remembering I don't want what happened last time?
Grind harder and practice.
Yeah.
And just go harder every time, really.
Yeah. And I know you're a man of few words. As a matter of fact, I remember one of the press conferences, he said, we got a lot of quiet players on this team. So I know this is kind of different for you, but I appreciate Coach giving us access with you. So now you go into game one. You're one of those players too. It kind of reminds me of like an RJ Abernathy in that a lot of games you're not going to lead the team in scoring, but you're touching the ball more than any other player. So how do you develop the mindset of that was a successful game, but I may not lead the stat sheet?
See, I play the one. See, the one is over the whole team.
Yeah.
I just got to make sure I go out there and do my job, and the scoring will come.
Yeah.
I got to put the team together. Like, I'm the head of the team.
Sure. And, they used to call RJ like the floor general. Like, he was out there directing traffic. And I see you do that quite a bit on the court. There were games that I'm sure you led and assist just because you're kind of one of those unselfish players. You can dish that ball out. But you also are able to knock down the three, get in the lane. How do you, as you said, the head of the team, how do you make that decision? I'm dishing the ball off, or I see a lane, I'm just going to take it this time. Is it just kind of a feel of the game, or?
It's the feel in the game. Stepping over when I got to.
What was it like to have 6 other seniors on that team where you wasn't really having to hold that senior leadership by yourself?
Oh, it was different. It was better. It was much better. Everybody was a leader on the team. We didn't look at just one leader. We looked at that everybody was a leader. Sure.
So game one got away there, that big win, 19-point win over North Green. Second game, it was a tough one. I mean, it was a scrappy game, to say the least. It was a scrappy game. What do you say? What do you feel like was the deciding factor for you personally, where you feel like, man, if I would have just done this, maybe it would have been different? Have you had a chance to really look back that closely yet?
Yes, I look back
Yeah.
I say with the free throws, they could have won us the game in the layups.
Sure.
But
Sure.
we came out, we played hard. We played
Yes.
as a team.
Yes, sir.
But at the end, it just wasn't much we can do about it.
The mood in the locker room. Let's talk about that after that second game. Obviously, you're probably disappointed walking in, but it's been a great season. You had a lot to celebrate. Was it a time where players kind of picked it up and said, hey, guys, we don't have anything to hang our heads about? Or was it mainly the coaching staff doing the talking in the locker room?
It was the coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the coaches.
I know you're still making decisions about your future, but man, it's been a pleasure to watch you play here in Humboldt. You've put a lot of time in, and good luck on your future endeavors, man. I appreciate the time with you today.
I appreciate it.
Sitting alongside Darian Taylor, and Darian, a lot of videos are out there today because of you kind of get those highlight moments of those games. But what's it been like? Let's talk about your teammates first before we get into your abilities to dunk and have a lot of those fun times. What's it been like? I know I don't necessarily want to refer to the other team, but let's talk about this year. What's some things that you feel like this program has taught you as an individual first, okay, before we move to the state tournament? Because when you change teams, things are going to be different. So what do you feel like is the biggest thing that you've took away from this year that's made you a better person?
Basically, like, staying together. Like, our team showed, like, how to stay together like a family.
Yeah.
And just basically be strong, play together. How to win.
Yeah, learning how to win, and you know, I remember you coming into this gym as an opponent, dropping 30 points on us, and when I heard you had joined this team, I was like, oh yes, yeah, I was excited to hear that. We've seen where you have really, I've seen where the players have kind of embraced you, and you've got a couple more years here in Humboldt, where you know the two guys I just spoke with, Kendrick and JJ. You know, this ends their career, but it kind of feels like some unfinished business maybe on your part. How does that fuel you? What will motivate you this off season?
Really just like going to complete what my seniors couldn't do.
Yeah.
Make up what they couldn't do.
Yeah. Will it be in the back of your mind, I'm playing for them, I want to get this for them?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got a feeling if you make it back to the state tournament, a lot of those guys are going to be showing up to watch. Yeah. That's just kind of how Vikings do. There's been a lot of former players that showed up. I know I was taking pictures down on the baseline at Murfreesboro, and there was some former players sitting in the stands behind me yelling things. You know, they wanted to see you guys succeed. The camaraderie that's here, it's something special. Does that benefit you? Does that help you in future games? Just knowing that you've got some brothers that are behind you that may not necessarily even be on the court.
Yeah, it really does. Like, it just shows that the community is behind us and that everybody just wants us to win.
Yeah. Dunking the ball. Let's talk about that for just a moment, because there's some highlights out there. Early in the season, we had some dunks that didn't go through. They bounced off the rim, came out. How do you keep your focus? You know, not everybody gets that opportunity to dunk the ball. How do you keep your focus and make sure the ball goes through the hoop? What are some of the things that you just have to really focus on when you're doing that?
Really just make sure the ball stays in my hand. Like, just trying to basically keep control of my body and the ball while I'm in the air.
Yeah. Because how do you balance knowing I need to go ahead and lay this in or I'm going to dunk the ball this time?
Really, no, it's just like comes.
Yeah, it's just a spur of the moment thing.
Yeah.
You just do what you feel.
It's just in the moment.
Yeah. What was it like to go to the state tournament? Is this your first time?
Is it?
So your first time going into the state tournament, walking into a big gym like that. I mean, Humboldt has a good sized gym, but it's not the Murphy Center. It's not the Glass House. And then to hear the fans like they were, what was that? What went through your mind when you first walked out on that court to warm up the first game?
It was like real nerve wracking. Like, I've never playing like no moment like that at first.
Yeah.
Cause like really, like if you watch it, I really was shying away at the first because I was shook at first, but it just took like one big play for me to get ready to go on.
Yeah. You settled in pretty quickly. Yeah. And, you know, defensively, I know the dunks get all the, you know, the glory and all that, but defensively, blocking the ball and being there for steals, how did that part of your game develop? Is it just studying the game, or how did that develop?
It's just like, it's basically just off of me playing with older people while I was younger. Like, I've always played up.
Yeah.
So just have to learn different ways to get the ball.
The leadership mantle's kind of fallen to you here. You got a lot of guys that they're no longer going to be standing beside you. Next year's going to be different, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So how do you prepare to be that leader? Because you're going to have kids looking to you. They're going to need that vocal leader on the court. Yes, Coach Ab and his staff's going to be there, but it's hard to put a value on that leader on the court. So what do you do this offseason to prepare for that?
Really, like, I've really been prepared by my seniors.
Okay.
Like, my seniors really prepared me for the moment next year.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Well, man, what did it feel like? I should have asked this to the other guys, and I just thought of this question, but what did it feel like to get FaceTimes from people that have played with Coach Ab as their coach? I mean, we're talking big name people. Shaquille O'Neal's the biggest one that they mentioned, but Coach Ab mentioned some others too that, spoke to that. What was that like? That had to be a real surreal moment.
Yeah, like, I was just stuck in a moment of surprise.
Yeah. I never will forget when Shaq came to town and did an event for Coach, and I actually was able to go to that event, me and my wife. And you think the guy's big until you stand beside him, and then you're like, oh my word. When he shook my hand and my hand disappeared, I was like, this is a massive dude right here. But he's just down to earth and so real. To get to hear from guys like that, not every player gets to do that. That'll change your life, won't it?
Yeah.
That's incredible. Well, man, I'm excited for you. I look forward to keep coming to games here in Humboldt, watching you ball out. And we got some unfinished business this season, next season rather, from this season. And I look forward to seeing you return back to Murfreesboro.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for taking time for us today. We'll be right back, folks. Right after this, we're going to sit back down with Coach Ab again as we wrap up the show today. Thanks for watching Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy. Welcome back in to the final segment of Inside Humboldt Basketball for this season as we wrap up another great season and great interviews there with Kendrick, JJ, and Darian. You laughed because I did have some conversation with Michael Odom on the sideline before your first post-game press conference. And he was like, who do y'all want in the locker room? Or who do you want in the press conference? And I was like, I mean, really, number two, number one, they've both been playing. And when we came in there, you said, y'all realize you're picking the quietest people in there.
Yeah, no question. The quietest people on the team.
And then JJ, he's also another one. He told me after the interview, he's like, I just don't talk a lot. You know? So, but he leads by his actions on the court. And, a player like JJ, you was talking about, it's hard to replace those guys, those selfless guys that don't have to be the leader on the stat sheet, but can dish that ball off. I think about RJ. Didn't necessarily win a lot of be the leading scorer in a game, but he was always that person that was key in getting that ball to players. Hopefully that next player will step up for you.
And that's learned. That's learned too. Again, you're talking about replacing those four guys.
Yeah.
That's learned. That's four. I mean, those seniors, experienced seniors that you lose, it's hard to replace them.
Standing on the sideline after you'd lost the second game, after you had done your post-game press conference, and I'm packing my stuff up, and I had somebody come over that was another media person, and they said, Seth, you're going to be back soon. I said, yeah, I believe we will be. And he said, because Humboldt never rebuilds. They just reload. And that's kind of become a saying now. I've started seeing it on social media a lot. He'd heard that somewhere. And but how do you do that? It's these young players that are stepping up, but you're always preparing for the next year while being focused on the current year.
Again, it's a system.
Yeah.
It's a system. It's our program. And then again, the hats go off to my assistant coaches.
Yes, sir.
In that particular case, that's Coach Vanna and Coach Trey Brown, who coach our 7th and 8th graders, and that they do the same things that we do. And I don't know if you notice or not, we help each other out.
Yes, sir.
During the postseason for the middle school, you had Coach Ingram and Coach Butler, assistant, Coach Vanna and Coach Brown. And it's our system. It's our program. And again, I always laugh again at people who make remarks that are negative.
Sure.
They don't have a clue
what
it takes to maintain a program like we have at the level we have consistently.
Sure.
Consistently. And again, this year, we were able to win the district regular season title, win the district tournament title, win the regional title, win the sub-state title, go to the state and win a game. That it looks easy, but it takes hard work. So
that's right.
When we talk about reloading and rebuilding, it's the simple fact that my assistant coaches do a great job down under us.
Yes, sir.
And they pass those kids on those. Those kids come to us wanting to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Basically knowing what it's going to take to be a part of it. And those that choose to will, and of course those that choose not to won't. And then there will be some that want to that won't make it.
Yeah. It's an incredible program, obviously, that's been built here, and it's something that the Humboldt community doesn't need to take for granted or take lightly. While we've seen success, I don't know that we've seen success that's just stretched for this many years, you know.
I know.
And sometimes we can think, well, there's just another coach that's sitting out there, or there's just another system that can come in and just pick up where it's left off. But it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work, and the longevity
Yeah.
enhances what we do. It enhances our program, and the consistency. Again, this is my 11th year. This is Butler's 11th year.
Mm-hmm.
This is Adrian's 10th year, and then the new person is Ivana, who has contributed tremendously.
Yeah.
And of course, Trey Brown.
Yeah.
And that just kind of adds to the ambiance of our program.
You mentioned, the junior high program, but then also Coach Adrian Ingram runs that freshman league as well.
Right.
How valuable is that to your program?
Tremendously valuable, because what it does, it gives our 9th and 10th graders an actual chance to compete and to play against other competition. And he does a great job.
Yes,
he loses very few games.
Yeah.
And they compete well, and just basically 9th and 10th graders, they competed at the same time they're learning about what it takes to play varsity basketball at Humboldt.
So here's the big question. How long do you take off before you start really hitting it again? I know there's other sports that these kids will play. Some of them are going to leave you and go play baseball.
Right.
Others will go to the weight room and get ready for football.
Right.
But as far as your coaching staff and kind of looking at your team and going, like this year, you had to decide, I don't have a lot of the bigs. You had Tobias Bell.
Right.
And we started utilizing him at the end of the season. And that was all by design. But, how long does the coaching staff take before they start looking at maybe what you have to run next year?
We'll start. We'll take a couple of days, and
Sure.
we'll talk about it. We'll mull over it. We'll talk about it. We'll figure out what's best, because basically what you want to do is we have a system, we have a program, and you want to fit those players into their system and program. On one hand. On the other hand, you want to enhance their abilities and what they do well and what they don't do well, what we will have to work on, and our weaknesses, that we'll do that. So we'll mull it over, because I believe we don't get a chance to get our basketball players back. We'll start back in like mid-May. Yeah. After the football spring game.
Okay.
We'll get them all back. We'll get them back. Track will be back. Baseball players will be back. Spring football will be over, and then our time starts around mid-May, like May 15, 16.
Sure.
And goes all the way through the summer.
Okay.
And then by the end of the summer, we'll know where we are after team camp, after our boot camp, after team camp, after our training camp. We'll know where we are and what we need to do.
Do you sit down with your coaching staff and do like a season debrief on what worked, maybe what didn't work, what you want to improve on? It's kind of hard when you look at a season like this. I mean, obviously people look at free throws and they look at 3-point percentages, but they don't understand, you just have on and off nights sometimes with that stuff.
Right.
But you'll sit down and kind of go through all of that.
Yeah, we do. I mean, we went back this time. I went back as far as our 2017 team.
Yeah.
To look at some things that they did and we didn't do. That we didn't want to duplicate this time.
Yeah.
Okay, we went all the way back to 2017. Wow. So we'll do that. And again, my staff is great.
Yeah.
And they look at video and film. I look at video and film. And again, I always laugh and marvel, because some people tell me about comments people making this hand. People will yell stuff and so many different things, but have no clue.
Yeah.
And what we have to do
to
come to a game plan on the court.
Yeah.
What the video we have to look at.
Right.
The player personnel we have to look at. Have no clue.
Yeah.
That if we don't do that, we wouldn't be as successful as we are. But we go back and we look at video, we look at personnel, and then we scout them, and then we decide what to take away from a particular player, what's going to enhance us. And like I said, sometimes I laugh and tell my coaches, they used to get pretty upset with people making marks. Stop that. Because these people saying things don't have a clue.
Sure.
They don't have a clue. Call a timeout. Why they call? Don't get into that.
Yeah.
Because what we do is based on research and plan. For like substituting, we talked about earlier.
Yes.
People think we just don't send kids in and out.
No.
We got a pattern.
Right.
And that pattern's work for us.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that pattern's work for us. It looks like a different substitution pattern. But that's why Jaden Chamberlain could score 30 points. or whatever, but because we have a system.
Yes.
And we follow that system.
And you talk about people yelling things. I know that at the end of that game, people are starting to realize we're losing this game. And it starts hitting, and then they start yelling things. I heard one guy yell in, put your shooters in. And I'm looking at the court, and I'm like, the shooters are in. I know Jaden Champion came off the bench one time and scored 30 points, but he might not do that at the state tournament because it's a whole different game.
A whole different game, plus experience.
Yeah.
Plus experience. You don't just step out there, But that's why I say, that's why I tell my players, when people holler, just be wary of the source and what people say and where it comes from. Just a remark like that, put the shooters in. God darn.
It's like,
but that's what they do it. But again, the work that my assistant coaches put in, video, film, setting down player personnel, taking one player, for example, like we did against North Green. Number 3 was their point guard.
Yeah.
And we just noticed him doing things like dribbling the ball to a spot, picking it up.
Yeah.
Well, all of a sudden, that's a negative because once he picks it up, then we cover.
That's right.
The average person wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have a clue of
Sure.
what he did. Now they're just looking at it.
Yeah.
When he puts that ball over, he put it over his head. And then we knew we could wear him out.
Yeah.
So as we looked at the video and we continued to look at it, so then we're going to put pressure on him and wear him out. Yeah. Again, they shot 3-pointers.
Yes, they
we
did.
knew.
That's right.
That we couldn't let them shoot no 3-pointers.
That's right.
Because they were going to hit them.
That's
again, if you notice that we played much tighter on them.
Yes, sir.
Didn't allow them to have the 3-point shots, and we're successful at it.
And you even admitted in your post-game press conference after that game, you've held back that trap defense and haven't used it as much
right?
Because you need that surprise factor.
We do.
And people just need to realize, this stuff knows what it's doing, and you're going to implement things when you need it.
Yeah,
and, the chips fall where they are. But what a great season.
Great.
I'll let you kind of put the bow on the season here as we wrap up.
A great, tremendous season. Nothing negative, no regrets.
Yes, sir.
It kind of just worked out like we planned, the tough schedule at the beginning of playing tough folks, finishing 8-5.
Yeah.
And then, putting in things as we went along.
Yes, sir.
The kids following the game plan. A tremendous season with no regrets, nothing negative. Won 29 games, won the multiple championships.
Yeah.
Just a tremendous season.
Yes, sir.
And I want to thank our kids because none of this is possible without them.
That's right.
Listening, and Lord have mercy. Thank my coaching staff because they work at it. Bright.
Signing days probably ahead for some of these kids.
Yeah. Right. But anyway, we had a tremendous season. I do want to thank those fans,
yes,
those
sir.
Humboldt fans who were very positive for us all throughout the year.
Yep.
I heard a lot of positive comments.
Yes, sir.
To those people, I say thank you.
That's right.
For your loyalty.
Yes.
Thank you for your encouragement. Thank you for your being positive with our players and just coming to the game, watching, letting us coach, letting us do our thing. And to those who don't, they can know where they need to go.
That's right. Well, thank you again. I've enjoyed this podcast every week, kind of coming in and talking over it. And we look forward to season 3 of the podcast next year.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for
Go
watching.
Vikings.
There it is. Thank you so much for watching today, folks. This is our last edition for the year of Inside Humboldt Basketball with head coach Ronald Abernathy. Thanks for your support of Viking basketball and Viking news on